You made the case that it's inevitable, the sort of like after World War II, the government is gonna have to print the money. Sometimes you just have to for the greater good of
That's
the
my
right.
belief.
So the
Yeah.
question that I want to ask about that is right now in the news, you already mentioned that Trump is going to replace Fed Chair Powell. But we have in the news that Powell and Trump are fighting.
Yeah.
Apparently, the DOJ, is trying to investigate. I don't know if the investigation is the right word, but they're looking into the $1 billion over budget of taxpayer money. It's
Yeah.
a pretty big deal. But a lot of people are now questioning the Fed independence. If the president is going to be able to go after the Fed chair, and what about the Fed independence? And so my question specifically is, Larry, um, your thoughts around Fed independence, specifically when you think about the government after World War II or today, the government needs to think long term and has imperatives, and the Fed should support the government in a sense. So, how independent should they really be?
Well, I think you raise a really great question. I mean, let's go back to first principles. I don't even think the Fed should
I
exist.
agree.
Okay.
I agree. Let's sure.
So, I mean, let's start
Yeah.
there. But and what you just said is really echoes with what Scott Bessent has been saying, which is monetary policy. Nation state monetary policy should fit in with overall geopolitical strategy and policy.
Right.
And so, the whole independent Fed canard is kind of stupid. I mean, it's like, I mean, and it makes it difficult for, I mean, it's very, let me say it this a different way. It's very good for the Fed. It's very good for Wall Street. It's very good for quintillionaires. It's very good for lenders.
Yeah.
It's very bad for the working man. It's very bad for industry. It's very bad for most of the country. And so you kind of got to make a decision. Which side of that fence do you want to be on? Do you want to have a productive, middle class that's well paid and it's all working, or do things are fair, or do you want to have this, U.S. dollar reserve status where, the Wall Street people win, the Washington elites win, the Federal Reserve economists win, and the rest of us suffer? And that's, and so, I mean, Besant even said it when he came into office. He said, look, it's time for, Wall Street's been doing fine. It's time for Main Street to start winning. And so, I think that this is part of the policy that they're trying to pursue. And as you see, as we see, with Venezuela and Greenland and everything else, I mean, it's very clear this administration, they're thinking very big, and they're saying to themselves, all right, China really got a jump on us. We let them run in our sandbox for a bunch of years. We're behind. We're in a terrible position in terms of critical minerals, as we know that. And I think it's fascinating the way they put a bunch of money into MP materials. They put a bunch of money into this Korean zinc smelter that's being built. And, they're trying very hard to reverse the dead end road that we've walked down, which is we got so financialized that, and it's not working. I mean, this Grumman does a great job of pointing this out.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't print silver. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I'll send you a silver certificate. No, that's not going to work. I mean, I actually need silver to put in my Tesla. I need it to put in my solar panel. And we kind of always thought this paper and this financialization, we got the world by the balls because we control the whole. Wall Street would get to control the paper market. And what China and the BRICS and everybody else, they're all saying is, yeah, that's nice, but you know what? At the end of the day, it's materials and shit that counts. It's not paper.
Yeah.
And Tyndale, there've been a bunch of people pointing this out, and Balaji's done a good job of pointing this out, right? That the world is changing from a financially driven world controlled by King Dollar, Wall Street, and the Federal Reserve to a proof of work, proof of stuff world where, if you don't, I mean, yeah, great. Sell me a piece of paper silver. I know it's worth nothing.
Yeah.
I want the real metal. And that's what's going on in the silver market right now. Everyone's demanding the real metal. The deliveries in the silver market are through the roof. It's really something to behold.
Yeah.
And, so it's a big secular shift. And so it's very easy for somebody to look at the silver price and go, oh, this is a bubble and it's going to burst. And I look at it the other way and I'm like, no, this is the beginning of a reset that could have decades to run. It's certainly years and arguably decades to run.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting time.
Yeah, I want to talk more about the gold and silver reset, and of course where Bitcoin ties into this. But to kind of add on to the point that you're making, and Grauman's commentary, I saw him make a reply to somebody on X the other day, and he said something like it was about like the Greek Athenians versus whatever,
Yeah,
and he's
right,
like at no point did the king think he should offshore the sword making to their opponents or whatever, right? And
right.
when you look at like, to your point about us just financialization and offshoring all those jobs, the greatest stupidity part of all that, I mean, you can talk about the medicines and all that, but like our military stuff, we literally we're asking our adversary to make our swords for us, right? Like,
Pretty much.
It's pretty insane when you break that down.
It's pretty much true. Yeah.
And that's why, it's like none of this is good. And so to your point, in the Fed, of course, but like sometimes when you're in a bad situation, there's just really no good answer. And so, like, I'm certainly not for bigger government at all, and nor am I for them spending more money. But, man, we've got ourselves into a pretty bad situation, and we need energy right now. Like, we need it in a bad way. We need rare earth elements, like, right now in a bad way. We need to bring some domestic manufacturing back. I mean, this is, like, critical, right, because it's national security. And it's like the only real way to do that is, one, repeal regulations to make it easier to walk, and then, number two, get some money into that sector. And I wish it wasn't the case, and I'd love to end the Fed, and I want to stop printing money, and I want to go to a Bitcoin standard. But like, man, we're in a mess right now.
Well, we are, and but there actually, it's not all bleak, and there is a way out of it, and that is, we run it hot with the notion that at the end of running it hot, we're going to convert back to sound money. I mean, the fundamental problem that's gotten us into this whole mess is fiat money, and fiat money is in the process of failing, and it's just that simple, that if we could go back to a sound money standard, things would balance themselves out and humans are productive, and we would see the benefits of all this technology flow evenly to everybody, not just to the billionaires. And so
the beautiful thing is, as both of us are, I mean, we're sound money advocates and we're Bitcoiners. Right. The beautiful part is that while we dream of a world one day that runs on that standard, you and I can just run on that standard today. We don't have to wait for the world.
Well, that's right. That's right. I mean, at an individual level, you can run on a sound money standard, and by the way, in doing so, you protect yourself
right
from this madness that's occurring. But yes, that's correct.
Hey, if you like this short conversation I just had, you're gonna love the full-length conversation. Don't miss it. You can go ahead and click right over here, and I'll see you over there.